Do you struggle with anxiety? Welcome to this edition of Tuesday Talks with Twyla. I have not talked about anxiety specifically very much, but I have talked about stress and overwhelm. And recently, the specific emotion of anxiety was brought to my attention, and I wanted to talk about it. I also have information on stress and overwhelm, which, when I did my research for today's talk, it was interesting the similarities in the definition between stress and overwhelm and anxiety. And I think people describe these emotions interchangeably depending on like what they resonate with or what connects for them. But the underlying kind of foundation of all of them are very, very similar, if not the same. And when you understand what anxiety is and what causes it, hopefully this will help you feel empowered and help you feel like you have some tools to navigate this. One of the first misconceptions I always think is so common is these emotions can feel like they're happening to us. Like we have anxiety, we're stressed out, we wear it like a badge, we wear it like it's something that has happened to us that is caused by external things. It's our stressful job or a health issue or a stressful relationship. And when you look at these things in our life, all of these external things, and our body's reaction to them, we can see how it can be misconstrued as that causing that. Now, if you've followed me at all, you know that our thoughts create our emotions, and anxiety, stress, overwhelm, they're all the same. They all fall into that same category. So, if our thoughts create this emotion, then we need to take a look at what we're thinking, right? And we'll get to that. But I just want you to know that there are tools and techniques that you can use if you're experiencing this to help you feel better. And first of all, to understand that it's not happening to you, because if it's happening to you from something outside, you've lost all of your power. And that's simply not true. You have all the power to navigate this, to put these tools into practice, to help you feel better, and to navigate away from feeling this way. So when I was growing up, my mom described it for herself as feeling nervous. And I never really understood what that meant. She was having anxiety. She was worrying about things. And that's all the same, right? Like worrying about something or having anxiety, feeling nervous, right? It's all kind of that same thing. For me, I was very I experienced it more like stress and overwhelm, like just tension and like taking on too much. And so just understanding that a lot of this, the foundational causes are the same, the experience that we feel in our body is very similar, and it's just the way that we describe it or the way we relate to how we like to define it for ourselves, because it's different for everyone for a lot of reasons. But one of the biggest reasons is because it's related to what we're thinking, and we all have our own unique thoughts and our own unique thought patterns, our own negative thought loops and recurring thoughts, and all of that that is unique to us and our experience, where that comes from our upbringing, our childhood, a work experience, maybe a traumatic event, different things in our lives that have molded and shaped that experience for us. And that's all intertwined here. It's all part of it. So what's interesting is when I looked up the definition of anxiety for today's talk, it starts off with the body's natural response. And I went, oh, that's interesting. That was the exact same language I found for stress. And so I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? It's our body's natural response. And this is the best part. So for anxiety, it was response to stress. And for stress, it was the body's natural response to a perceived demand, challenge, or threat. And that was also part of the definition for anxiety, but it was more like kind of further down the road in the definitions. And it referenced a perceived danger, right? Same thing as a threat, something's dangerous. And that is the purpose of anxiety. So when we imagine that, like if we're experiencing a lot of anxiety or it's actually impacting our lives, part of that is we think it shouldn't be there because it might be crippling, it might be affecting our daily life, it might be affecting our life experience, and we just don't want it to be there. But when we understand the purpose of anxiety in our life, in our human body, in our human experience, it's to keep us safe. That was very important back in the day. But today, the perceived threats are someone might not like us, or I might have made a mistake. And when we actually look at what we're afraid of, or what maybe this, when it manifests as some sort of fear, when we actually look at that, there is no real danger where our lives are not at stake because someone might not like us or we make a mistake at work, right? So there's actually not a threat to our life. There's actually not danger lurking. But that's what our brain makes it mean. And we can thank our brain for that because that's what kept us alive all of these years. That's what kept the human race evolving and moving and expanding and growing forward to the world we live in today, right? We had to get through that to evolve to the world we live in today, where there is very few threats, right? We have homes so the bears can't get in. We have shelter, we have food, right? We have all of the normal things that we need in our life. There aren't dangers around every curve, outside of the cave, around every tree, finding food for survival, right? None of that exists for us anymore. But we can understand and recognize where that comes from and appreciate that we have it because it's how we've survived. So that line of thinking might be helpful in and of itself, right? That anxiety serves a purpose. That's why it exists. And we can be grateful that it did exist to get us to today. But if it's crippling, if it's something that is managing our life instead of us managing it, then it can feel significant. And then what do we do with that, right? So the way this can show up, right, is like the heart racing and sweating and rapid breathing. And it can be that that physical response in our body, because again, it's our body's natural response. And that's what it's designed to do, is react instantly. That's what gets us to go running quickly when we meet a bear in the woods. That's what gets us to kick in that extra adrenaline and all of the things that we need to survive an actual threat. If it's because someone doesn't like us or a perceived threat, which is perceived, it doesn't really exist, that physical reaction is not necessary, right? And then what do we do when that happens? What is our reaction or response to the anxiety? A lot of times it's resistance, avoidance, it's fighting it, right? Because we don't want it to be there. And so our actual experience of the anxiety isn't just the vibration in our body, isn't just the heart racing and maybe some sweating and maybe some rapid breathing. If that's all it was, if I was just sitting here and someone said, okay, I'm going to inject anxiety into your body and you're going to just experience it in your body, right? That's what would happen. That's how my body's reaction would respond. That's what the vibration would feel like. That's what it would feel like in my body. But if I don't like that and I'm trying to fight it, I'm trying to do something instead, I'm trying to, distract with social media, I'm trying to eat instead, I'm trying to do something else, resistant, fight it, right? Then that's the experience I'm having, is the reaction, the resistance, the avoidance. So interesting how the actual feeling of the emotion is totally different than our reaction to it. And where do you land with that? Do you just allow it to be there? Or are you fighting it? One of the biggest things with emotions is the more you fight it, the more it'll come up. It will not just stop, right? And so when you can imagine getting into this vicious cycle of it comes up and I fight it, and it comes up and I fight it, or I resist it or I avoid it, and it comes back up. And with any emotion, it will continue to do that until you address it. And that can bring its own fear, right? Because we've already created this almost like this monstrous experience around it, then we can't even imagine just allowing it, which is not the experience that we're having when we're resisting and fighting it. It's completely different. If we're just allowing it, if we're telling our brain and calming our brain, it's okay, it's anxiety, and it's okay, and we just allow it to be there, that's a totally different experience. And if you're feeling anxiety maybe every day or all day, every day, when you start allowing it, it won't be every day, all day, every day. It won't be, because you're going to be processing it, and it will get better. It will get less and less. And in the meantime, in between bouts of anxiety, you'll feel empowered, because you'll have the confidence to know you know what to do when it comes on. You know what to expect. You know the worst that can happen is this vibration in your body. It's not going to kill you. It'll be okay. And you know what to do when it happens. So all of that is kind of the foundation of just understanding what our body does when we experience anxiety. But anxiety, like I said, is an emotion caused by our thinking. And so our thoughts can create the anxiety, and then the thoughts we have about the anxiety can perpetuate all of that negative emotion into this thought spiral, into this emotional spiral, into this, it morphs, right? And it gets bigger and bigger. And then it's like, how do we get out of this? Right? And it's a pattern that keeps happening. And then we don't know, it's like it sucks us in and we get trapped in there and we don't know how to get out. So here are some tools and techniques that you can put into place to help you when you're experiencing anxiety. So the very first thing always, because we can get into this, and I think very swiftly into the reaction of resisting or avoiding or suppressing, the very first step is acknowledging, is building our awareness around, oh, I'm having anxiety. I have anxiety right now, or I wake up with it, noticing it, acknowledging it, becoming aware of it. Because like I said, we're too busy trying to get away from it, run away from it, avoid it, resist it, fight back, and that's what we're doing. So when the emotion comes up, we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to acknowledge it. We're just going to go, oh, I'm feeling anxious right now, right? And we name it, we allow it, we recognize that it's there. And all of that in and of itself is very calming. It's very soothing and very empowering, because we're actively doing it. And we can do that. We can turn our brain into the watcher of our brain and say, okay, and our body, and we recognize it's there. All the while just knowing, right? It's okay. Calming ourselves, telling ourselves it's okay that it's there. And instead of letting ourselves slip into our maybe programmed reaction, whatever that is for you, if it's avoiding or suppressing or fighting back, or what was the other word I was looking for? Reacting to it, we're just going to allow it to be there. We recognize that it's there, we acknowledge it, and we actively allow it and accept it. So, okay, it's here. I'm feeling anxiety, and it's okay. And I own it, which means I take control over it. When I'm allowing it, just like if I was going to allow like my child to play in the sand, I'm letting the child play in the sand. I'm in control. So it feels that way for ourselves too. I'm allowing myself to feel it. I'm in control here. At any point I can say, I can tap out and say, nope, I'm done. But why would you want to? Because even though it's uncomfortable, because it's not a comfortable feeling, right? Anxiety isn't like rainbows and daisies, right? That's why we've always avoided and resisted and all of that. We don't want to feel it. It's a negative emotion. But what is the worst that happens? Our heart races, we sweat a little, right? We're sitting here allowing it, and our body is reacting. It's doing what it does. This emotion is vibrating in our body. We're safe. It's okay. I'm allowing it. I'm letting it be here, which means I let it, which means I can tell it to stop. And just that feeling of control can feel so good and so refreshing, right? Because this whole time we have either told ourselves or been convinced that anxiety is happening to us and we don't know how to stop it. We've just been reacting to it because it's coming at us, right? And it's actually not. It's created internally. So that's really interesting, right? We have control over this always, and that's not how it feels, but we do. And so we actively will accept it and allow it and own it and just let it be there. And we're just quietly witnessing it, quietly observing it. What does it feel like? What is it doing in my body? What am I thinking? Right? And that'll give you relief and perspective, right? Because now you're looking at it. You've kind of switched into the watcher. You're still experiencing it, but you're also watching it. And that alone can create significant change because you've shifted. You've changed your perspective on this. You're not reacting and suppressing and actively reacting to it. You're over here allowing it and observing it and watching and seeing what's going on and being very curious. We're not judging. We're not, pushing or trying to change. We're just letting be whatever it is. So you're intentionally allowing it. You're in control always. And you're telling yourself, it's okay. I'm letting it be here and it's okay. I'm in control. I'm allowing it, right? Because the thing with anxiety is it pretends to be very important. It pretends to be a crisis, right? Because imagine why it does that. Back in the day, it was designed to keep us alive. So it had to get our attention. It had to get our heart racing. It had to get our breath rapid, right? It had to. That was our body's natural instinct, our body's natural response to the threat. It's what it's designed to do. So right now, in today's world, and when we actually allow it and there's no threat, it pretends to be very important. It pretends to be a life or death situation. It pretends to be saving us from danger, but it's actually not. None of that exists. It's all in our head. I'm okay. I can feel this anxiety and it's okay. It's not comfortable, but I can tolerate it. And I'm in control. I'm allowing, I'm intentionally letting it be here. Right? And then I remember, why is it here? It's here because of what I'm thinking. So, what am I thinking? And again, no judging, right? We're just going to get curious and explore, what are the thoughts behind my anxiety? What are the thoughts I'm thinking that has me feeling this way? And the best thing to do with this is to just get it all out and do a thought download and dump it all onto a piece of paper. Write it all down. Every single thing that comes up, everything that comes out, that's what we're going to put on the paper. Everything. So we're not judging. We're not like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that. We're not trying to do anything with it. We're letting all of it flow. We're letting everything come out and just put it all down on paper. All of it. And just kind of like, I always like to call it emptying out the junk drawer, right? Like we're just getting it all out. Just dump it all out. Dump it on the paper. Get it out of your head. And when you look at it, you might go, oh, yeah, I can see why I'm feeling that way. Yeah, interesting. What comes out? Interesting what was in there. Because what can happen a lot of times is whatever negative thoughts that we're having that's causing this uncomfortable emotion of anxiety and our resistance to it can create kind of that thought spiral. It's that looping on thoughts. So sometimes I've heard it called thought loops or thought patterns or thought stacking. And so you'll have a negative thought, and then I shouldn't be having a negative thought, or this again, and then, and that, and this, and that. And we just start, right? We just start piling it on. And we're either looping on those like same, few thoughts over and over, or we're thought stacking and we're just adding and this and this and this, right? And when you actually can sit and look at it, you're like, whoa, yeah, I can see why I was feeling that way based on these thoughts. And when I didn't find it in the research for anxiety, but when I was doing my research for stress and overwhelm, one of the tips that they had was address irrational thoughts. And that is for sure part of this work. Now, I just did a Tuesday talk about irrational thoughts not very long ago. So if you want to go listen to that, go find that one. It's easier to find it on YouTube because you can just search my channel for irrational thoughts. And when you can look at them as irrational, like this is just, it's illogical, it's irrational, they don't make any sense, right? And you can see how if I'm actually thinking that, which I am, which is why I'm feeling this way, it all makes perfect sense. Now remember, you're in the watcher position here, right? You're in the perspective of being curious and exploring all of this. So you're watching it all, you're looking at it all and getting curious about it all from that standpoint, not in it, not feeling it, not experiencing it because you've shifted to the watcher. So that alone feels like relief. It feels like you're in control. It feels like you're empowered. It feels like you're in charge of what's going on. And of course, thoughts are always optional, and they don't always feel that way either, right? Especially when they're playing on repeat. And this is one of the things that I've realized with this. When I had this happen, and I guess you could call it anxiety, for me, it would show up like panic really early in the morning. And so I would wake up with these very negative feelings, and it would be like, that's what would wake me up. And it was like, oh my gosh. And it was panic, and it was, dread, and like, the worst case scenario. And that feeling is what would wake me up in the morning. And of course, I would resist it. I didn't want to feel that way. First of all, it was waking me up a couple hours before my alarm. I would like to be sleeping. So I resisted it. And instead of acknowledging the emotion and taking a look at the thoughts I was thinking, I was like, okay, I know my thoughts create this emotion. I don't want to feel this way. I want to think something different. So I would go straight to the thoughts. And I would, because you can choose your thoughts, it's like, okay, I'm going to think more peaceful thoughts. Well, that didn't help me fall back to sleep, and that didn't stop this pattern from happening. What stopped it was acknowledging that it was there and simply allowing it. So, what that looked like was that I feel panic, and I'm laying in bed safe, and I feel panic and I feel fear, and I would just describe the emotion. And I would tell myself, I'm safe, it's okay. I feel this, but I'm okay. I'm laying in bed safe. And I'm doing this all in my head, right? My husband's laying next to me, and I'm just allowing this to happen in my head. I feel this way. I would name it. I would acknowledge it. I would describe it. This is what it feels like in my body. And I would just let it be there. The thoughts really didn't matter because they were irrational. They weren't logical. They weren't necessary, right? And the thought spiral that would happen, or the thought loop, or the thought stacking, and sometimes it would be any one of the three, right? Sometimes it would just be, I would just end this, and I would just pile on, and sometimes it would just be a few of them that I would just cycle through. And if I try to fall back to sleep, or I try to redirect my thoughts, then I was back over here, right? So whatever it was, but none of them mattered, right? And sometimes, here's the thing, like sometimes the thoughts are true, right? The thoughts I was thinking, I would say were true. If it was about like my job, like a lot of times it would be like, what am I forgetting? What do I need to do? Oh, I don't have time to do that. Like, there's never enough time. I can't get everything done. And so then it would go into that. So some of it was true and some of it wasn't. Not having enough time. I can't get it all done, right? I would always get things done by their deadline. But this patterned thinking was not helping any of that, right? It was making me feel more stressed and more tension. And the best part of this is I had this pattern happening before I left my very stressful job, but it continued to happen after I left my very stressful job when I was in complete control of my schedule, my workload, my hours, everything. I run my own business now. I decide. I don't need to wake up in a panic in the morning telling myself I don't have enough time, I won't be able to get it all done, right? All of that, and it would just go right back into that same pattern. Irrational, illogical. They weren't true at that point, right? So the thinking, like I want to say it didn't matter, right? It was there and that's what was causing it, but my body needed the safety and security of calming the emotion. It needed to be told it's okay. I feel panic and it's okay. My nervous system needed to be calmed, needed to be addressed, needed to be consoled, needed to be comforted by me, right? Because if someone else told me, like if I were to have a conversation with my husband, like, oh, I woke up thinking this in the morning, he would, his reaction would be like, well, that's just simply not true. Like you have plenty of time. Like you control your schedule, right? Like he would just basically confirm that that's irrational, that's illogical, like that's silly thinking. Okay, but I'm still thinking it. And I still feel this way, right? It wouldn't make me feel any better because I have to do that. We have to do that for ourselves. We have to process the emotion in order for it to be resolved. Nobody else can do that for us. And if we're stuck in this thinking that it's too horrible to feel, it's going to be very painful, I can't do it. First of all, none of that's true, right? We can feel any vibration, emotion in our body, and it'll be okay because that's all it is, right? And when we resist it and react to it and create this much larger experience than we need to, our brain is convinced that this is big, this is hard, this is very painful, and it's really not. And so when you can rationalize all of this and allow for these steps and these tools and this process to unveil itself, and you experience it, and then you realize how long it is until you have to do it again. So here's what happened for me. I did this the first day, and I don't even remember the details. This is how awesome the results were. I think I did it a second time, but it wasn't even the next day. There was at least a day, and this was happening daily. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get a grip on this. What I'm doing is not working. And I teach this stuff, so I need to figure this out, right? So it was at least a day in between. I think the most I ever had to do this exercise in the morning when I woke up with panic because I didn't wake up that way anymore. I don't wake up that way anymore. Maybe 3. Like I only remember doing it twice, maybe 3. Now, occasionally since then, like in the span of years, maybe 1 or 2 more times this has happened where I've woke up that way and I go right into, or I forget that, hey, this is what I need to do with this. And then I do the work, right? And it's just, it doesn't come back. It hasn't come back. Like it does come back sometimes, right? Like I said, 1 or 2 times over the course of years. Much better than it happening daily. It was my daily routine. That's how I would start my day. I would lose a good hour to 2 hours of sleep. I would wake up in an absolute panic. And that's how I would start my day. Brain racing, right? Heart racing, tension high, right? And I actually went in, I did, I don't even remember what it was called. But I went in and I had them like stress test my brain because I could tell that what I was experiencing was affecting my health. It was affecting my brain quality. It was affecting my body. And guess what I found? The evidence to support that. if you've ever seen those brain scans with all the colors on there, like my brain response was so delayed. For my age and my functionality, it didn't match. And basically, and then my heart rate was stuck high. So it didn't go up and come down like it was supposed to. It was stuck up. Well, what does that do to your heart, right? Like we all know, like this kind of stress on our body, the physical stress, I mean, all of this manifested from all of this happening, right? This wasn't a traumatic event. This wasn't, some kind of a diagnosis, right? This was caused by this experience that was happening in my body. And if you've ever heard the saying that stress isn't something that we have, it's something that we do, and that's absolutely true. And when I, started to kind of see and hear that over and over, it's like, I'm doing this to myself. I have to stop doing this to myself, right? Like it's hindering my life. It's affecting my health. It's affecting my longevity. It's a big deal, right? Something has to change. What she said to me was, if you want proof that your job is killing you, here it is. And I went, whoa, whoa, right? And of course, I was like, okay, so what? I mean, can I rebuild this? Can I, heal this? Can I get my heart rate back to functioning properly? Can I reactivate these parts of my brain that are delayed and aren't functioning properly? Absolutely, right? So the allowing and the acknowledging, that is the guts of this work. And knowing and telling yourself, like what I would do is I would tell myself ahead of time, okay, tomorrow when this happens, at least one time, I'm going to do this exercise. And I'm going to do it all the way through. I'm going to tell myself it's safe. I can, manage and allow, and I can be in control of it the whole time, right? And I'm going to allow time for the thought download and all of that, right? And remember that part of that allowing is to describe how it feels. Describe how it feels in your body. Describe where you feel it, what exactly it feels like. Get very specific with this. And that's what I did, right? Like I named the emotion I'm feeling. For me, it was like panic, right? Which panic, anxiety, stress, like you could, I think overwhelm, all of these are interchangeable. I felt like I was in a panic. It felt like the twisting of my gut. My heart was racing. It felt like pressure. It felt like stress. It felt like I just like literally was walking a path in the woods and ran across a bear. That's what it felt like. And so I just described it all. I'm safe in my bed. It's okay. I feel this and it's okay. And I would describe it a little more and I would name it it's okay, right? And I would just keep consoling myself through it. Now, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm not going to just sit there and feel this emotion forever, right? Like, how long do I have to do this? I didn't ask myself that ahead of time. I just knew that's what was needed, right? I'm laying in bed doing this. It's really early in the morning. I just want to go back to sleep. So I just did it until I fell back to sleep. And I certainly didn't repeat it for 5 minutes straight, right? Like I allowed it and I named it and I felt it and right. And this is what it feels like in my body. It felt like someone socked me in the gut, feels like my guts are being twisted, feels like just like my stomach's turning, my heart is racing. I feel panicked and it's okay. I'm laying in my bed safe. I'm okay. This panic can be here and I'm okay, right? I didn't do that 100 times, right? I didn't do that 60 times or 50 times, like, right? I don't even think I did it 30 times. So remember that you're always in control of it always. So if you're like, okay, that's enough, I got to stop. Okay, right? Get up and go do something else. But if you did the thought download and you're taking a look at the thoughts and you're describing and you're doing all of this, and I think it'll just all happen naturally. You'll just be like, you'll feel better and you'll be like, okay, I'm done with this. Like, I don't need to keep going. Like, it's not like, oh, I have to do it 10 times or I have to do this for 5 minutes. It's not like that. You'll know because you'll feel it. You're feeling it now. You're feeling it when it comes up. You're feeling it when you're allowing it, right? You're feeling it all the way through. Your body will guide you. You won't just be sitting there thinking, how long do I have to do this? How long do I have to do this? Right? Like if you're actually present with the emotion and you're feeling it and allowing it and you're going through it, you'll just get to the point where it's just naturally like you're done. right? You'll feel it. That's how you'll know. You'll feel it. So, but make sure that you understand what the steps are and you plan ahead and you're prepared and you're ready to do it and you're committed to seeing it all the way through. That's my best recommendation. And a couple of other things, like you can always do any kind of like breathing exercises with it, which if you're experiencing any kind of like chronic anxiety, breathing exercises are so good for our body. The natural exhale of the body is a relaxing um, physical response. So it tells your body to relax. And so what happens when we get into like fight or flight or we get into that panic is we take these really short high breaths and really we just keep breathing in. We don't breathe out enough. And so it's just that quick in, right? And it's just in and in and it's not allowing it all the way out and really exhaling and let all of the air out or pushing all of the air out. And that natural breathing and focusing on our breath. Again, right? When you're focusing on your breath, you've switched your focus, you've switched your perspective, you've shifted, and now you're just in tune with your body. You're being present with your body and you're focusing on that. So, that alone can have a physical reaction response in your body. And it's your body's natural response. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to heal itself, it's designed to do all of this for you. And so when you practice these tools and you can see that for yourself, you can just be like, oh, this is so amazing, right? I've had all these tools this whole time. I have the tool belt. I just didn't know how to use them. Like, I don't know what this is. I don't know what this does. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this does. And when you do, and you can use these for yourself, it is life-changing for sure. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is that you can decide to do this exercise in one of two ways. One, like, okay, tomorrow when I feel anxiety, something that happens regularly or daily, or the next time that I feel it, I'm going to do these steps and I'm going to go through this exercise with it. Or you can say, I am going to create anxiety on purpose. And this is beautiful because if you do it this way, you've just told yourself, I'm in control of this. I'm going to create it intentionally. So I know that I'm creating it. I'm proving that to myself. And then I'm going to make it worse by thinking more things that create more anxiety. And then I'm going to think less and go through these steps and process it and show myself that I can create it, I can increase it, and I can decrease it. And I'm going to prove to myself that I can do all of this. I have the ability, I have the capability, I know how, I have the tools now to do all of this for myself. And the confidence that you'll feel knowing that and doing that and exercising these tips and tools, right, and strategies, right, that's going to give you the confidence that I know how to do this. Like I'm not afraid of the next time anxiety comes up because, right, I know what to do with it all. Okay. So the other thing that I wanted to mention is the things that can trigger anxiety or stress or overwhelm, whatever it is. You can think you can use that interchangeably here. So there's external factors, right? We talked about this in the beginning, like external factors of life, our work, our health, relationships, right? All the things around us can trigger it. But remember, what is it about those things that triggers anxiety? It's our thoughts about them. It's the meaning that we give to the things I have to do at work, about a health diagnosis, the meaning that we give, the thoughts that we have about it, and our relationships, right? The things that cause us stress and overwhelm about those things or anxiety is the thoughts that we're thinking about them. If you put it into the model and those things are the circumstances out of our control, they just are things. They just are. It's our thoughts about them. It's the meaning that we give. That is what causes or triggers our anxiety. And then the internal. So those things are external. The internal trigger can be unprocessed emotions, suppressed emotions, and negative thought patterns, right? So the negative thinking comes up and that causes the anxiety. But if we have unprocessed emotions and suppressed emotions, like basically when you have that bubble up like I was having early in the morning, or you have anxiety first thing in the morning, That is unprocessed and suppressed emotions that is trying to get your attention. So that's inside of you, right? And really, when you look at either one of these, the external factors, that's not what's triggering it. It's our thoughts about those things. So both of them really are internal. It's the thoughts that we're thinking about the external factors in our life, or it's our internal negative thinking, our natural reaction or thought patterns that are causing both cases that cause the feeling of anxiety. So, very interesting how we can recognize, we can manage, we can navigate. And I know I have at least a lot of my clients that do not want to feel negative emotion. And so, if that part of this has you absolutely terrified, I want to tell you that what you're experiencing instead is so much worse. And we don't think it is because in some cases we don't even realize that we're resisting, that we're reacting, but sometimes we're eating instead. Sometimes we're, distracting on social media. We're just buffering and avoiding and just, right? We're kind of like putting ourselves in the bubble. And we tell ourselves that we're not feeling the anxiety. But what do you feel like when you overeat? What do you feel like when you overdrink? What do you feel like when you numb yourself with social media, distracting, scrolling, right? Doom scrolling, whatever you want to call it, right? How do you feel then? Do you feel like you're living your best life? Do you feel like you're showing up to life with excitement, that you're living on purpose, that you're living purposeful and with life and joy and happiness? No, right? You're not. And when you have all of this that is suppressed, right? Do you feel like you're in control of when it happens? Or is it showing up when it feels like it? Or it's how you have to start every day. It's there every morning waiting for you, right? You're not in control in that case, right? Well, I don't feel it in the morning because I'm so hungover, right? Or I'm in a food coma, so I can't feel it really, right? So when you actually think about your experience of life, this isn't worse. Actually sitting and allowing and calming your nervous system around an emotion and just allowing it to be there and acknowledging it, naming it, describing it, that is not worse. That is not, it's not even that hard. But you won't know that until you try it, until you actually allow it. And if at any point you feel like you can't do it, remember those are the thoughts you're thinking. You're thinking you can't do it. And our thoughts create our reality. So if you think you can't do it, then you'll be right. But if you think you can, if you tell yourself you are strong, you can do this, it's a vibration in my body, for goodness sake. I'm just going to let it be there, right? And anxiety is one of those, right? That kind of has a buzz to it, right? Like that hum of vibration. I'm just going to let it buzz. I'm just going to let it hum. Like I'm standing on a vibration plate. I've never done that before, but I'm just going to let it be. I'm standing on the vibration plate and just letting it happen in my body, right? So, I mean, you can give the meaning to all of this that is soothing, that is calming. This will work. I can do this, right? You can manage and navigate all of this with your thinking. And if you go into it thinking that way, that's going to be your outcome, right? Our thoughts and our beliefs create our reality. So if you tell yourself you can do this and you commit to experiencing it and allowing it and letting it process through and feel better, right? Just allow it and show yourself. The confidence that you'll gain from this will be immense. And when you're not afraid to feel any emotion, I mean, we're only talking about anxiety, but what other fears or stress and overwhelm do you have in your life, right? When you learn this tool and this is your new natural reaction to something is I don't suppress, I don't run, I don't react. I just allow like, oh, what is this? And I get curious and I figure out what's going on. I take a look at my thinking and find my irrational thoughts, right? When that's your body's natural, that's your new natural response to things. And this is the exercise that you do every time. There isn't anything that you can't do in this world because you're not afraid to feel emotion, right? And when we talk about feeling emotions to expand and grow our life, as opposed to feeling emotions like the discomfort of avoiding and reacting, resisting our current life or life circumstances or life factors or whatever it is, like, right? The difference is over here I stay and over here I grow. And I live such a more fulfilled, joyous, happy life over here. Now, none of these are without some pain, right? Like there's discomfort, there's good and bad, right? There always is. Life is 50-50. It has to be. Because how do you know happiness if you don't know sadness? You wouldn't even recognize it if we were happy all the time. And you don't want to be happy all the time. You don't want to be happy when you lose a loved one. You don't. You want to feel sadness, and that's okay, right? And when we can recognize that and normalize that and accept all of it, that is this human experience, that's what it's called to be a human, and we aren't fighting against these natural occurrences, the natural human experience. When you're fighting that, that's what your life experience is resistance and fighting, and I don't want it to be this way, right? And it's that constant reaction to it. But when you understand it and you accept that this is the way it is, and you live and navigate within it, and you use these exercises and these tools to navigate and make it better, now your 50% that's good is great. You're still going to have a 50% that's crummy. That's just life. But this 50%, wow, that's not just living. That's not just existing, right? That's really living an extraordinary life. And that's what's available. So take control of your anxiety. It's not happening to you, it's not outside of you to fix it. It's all right here, it's all within you. And if there's anything I can do to help, please be sure to reach out. I would be happy to have a conversation with you. Until next week, I hope you have an amazing week.